Are live. Wonderful. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final Boys Town Common Sense Parenting Talk of 2025. My name is Gabby. I've been your host for the year, and we've been lucky enough to go live monthly with our Common Sense Parenting expert here, Bridget Barnes, as well as several other guests from across Boys Town. And we've talked about so many different topics as it relates to parenting and caring for children's ages from toddlers to teens. We're going to continue this series in 2026. So if there is a topic you want us to discuss next year, you can leave it in the comments or send it to our page as a private message. And we're always crowdsourcing topics, and we want to talk about things that can help you in the new year. But for now, we're not going to jump too far ahead here yet. And we're going to talk about our remaining topic, which is how to help your child navigate life's highs and lows. If you're watching live, make sure you like this video and tag a fellow parent below that you think might find this topic helpful. Bridget, how are you doing?
I'm great, enjoying the holidays. So thank you for asking, and excited to talk about this complex conversation that we're having around the holidays about how to influence our children when they're going through challenges. So I'm happy to be with you today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if someone is finding this video for the first time, or maybe they're a new follower, Bridget, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at Boys Town.
Well, I'm the director of Boys Town's Common Sense Parenting Program here in Nebraska. We serve somewhere between, 500 parents a year and around 900 kids every year, just here in the greater Omaha area. But we have Common Sense Parenting services across the country. They're online, so you can go to live classes, but you can now receive this service online. You just have to go to our boystown.org site to find us and register for a class. We have lots of different classes for parents of toddlers and preschoolers, school age, parenting for school success, parents for ADHD. So lots of different classes to assist families. So that's who I am and what I do here at Boys Town. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, when thinking about navigating highs and lows, we say that, and that can sound like a really daunting topic. So as we go into it, just start, Bridget, what is the best way for parents introducing the topic of overcoming obstacles? Because we know kids face obstacles from the time they're little. A toy puzzle could seem like an obstacle, but then as they grow older, into teens, maybe a friendship issue or a breakup, those are going to be bigger obstacles. So how do we start from the beginning and kind of work our way up through that?
Well, I guess the best way to help kids overcome obstacles is just modeling that yourself. Number one, you have to model to kids that, okay, I have obstacles in my life and I don't blow up or melt down or give up. I continue to go forward and kind of model that to them, whether it be small things like, I burnt the meatloaf. Now what are we going to do? We have a bigger challenge with maybe an illness or something else. So the kids can see through your modeling that, okay, I can be resilient against something that might seem overwhelming or might make me feel down. And you also should validate kids' feelings. Their little problem might seem small to you, but it's big to them. So when they're facing something like a loss of a friendship or when they first get their first failure in the class and they didn't get picked to do something, that you validate that it's okay for them to feel that challenge and to kind of break down the challenge a little bit for them to say, okay, so when we face this challenge again, what might be some things that you did do well here? Well, I was able to do this well, whether they're little bitties and they're just trying to learn to tie their shoe, or whether, they're a teenager that's trying to learn how to get a job. So I would say that kind of breaking down the steps helps kids not be overwhelmed by the struggle or the highs and lows that they're facing, and to understand there will be highs and lows. It's okay to have highs and lows. It's fine to fail. You're going to have a lot more failures before you're going to be able to succeed. And that's part of the process to learn to succeed, is to learn that failures are part of that process. So be compassionate to your kids, empower them, and let them struggle in your presence, and be there as a support that say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm cheering you on. If you need me, I will assist, but letting them know, I think you can do this if we break it down into some workable steps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love what you said about emotional resilience. That's something that parents of all experience levels can continue to work on. How can you help us as parents build emotional resilience so then we can model it for our kids?
Well, I think that letting children go through something that you maybe want to shelter them from, like that they're having difficulty with a friendship, and you want to swoop in and make it all better, call the parent, figure it out, do something about it. And maybe it's more of a conversation with the kid of figuring out, okay, your friends don't want to be friends with you anymore. And do you want to continue to be friends with them? And what are you going to do to fix that? Or do you want to fix it? Not always swooping in is really what, the part of resilience is not that it gets better quickly. And in this kind of day and age, we want things to be quick. We want a quick result. And maybe it isn't always that. And being okay that things are not okay, that's part of resilience. And then when things are better, being able to notice that and ask the kid, so how's it going with Sarah? Well, at least we're saying hi to each other again, and she's not snapping at me. Well, that's great. And how are you responding to her? I said hello too. So that's good. And so sometimes the process of resilience is not overnight. It's not something that's going to happen like that. So getting kids to that kind of thinking as well, and letting them know that you're there for them while they go through the process of resilience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it can be hard, to see our kids struggle, kind of see them like drudging through the mud. And of course we want to swoop in, but when we all look back on our own lives and the difficulties that we face, the lows, as we're talking about, you have to go through them. And it's one thing, to be supportive, but yeah, you don't want to do it for them.
Well, I think, also, like, we have a lot of books at the Boys Town Press that talk about like hope, why you're going through something, to hope for that things are going to get better versus, oh no, nothing's going right. If you have that sense of hope that things might get a little bit better, me and Sarah might be able to have at least a decent conversation, or maybe we're going to be able to be friends at some point, or to have that hope there. Also, self-love in resilient situations. We have books that talk about that. Gina Prosh does a wonderful job with the books that she has. It talks about that whole resilience. And I believe we had her as a guest early on in the year. And I think that would be a great opportunity if you have a very young child to sit down with books like that, to talk about that if they're going through a situation they're struggling with their ability to bounce back with their feelings, or they're feeling overwhelmed by something or stressed out by something. To use a book to talk about that with a young child. Or, with an older kid, maybe you're going to use a real life situation and, talk about things that they're really experiencing, and maybe have some deeper conversations than you would with a younger child. But, just really self-love, giving hope and opportunities and agencies and pathways to hope, by telling kids, resilience is a process and not, an event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked a little bit at the beginning about being reactive to some struggles. So, there's the expression I always think of don't cry over spilled milk. And I will tell you, for me, that is a challenge, because I feel like I am like a yellow panic or a red panic over small stuff sometimes, where I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world, but sometimes in the moment, especially when you're a young child and you haven't faced things like that, it can feel that way. So when there are those moments, Bridget, what are some good coping skills that families can use?
Well, when things do happen and kids feel overwhelmed, provide the time and space and place and safety for kids to talk to you, that you're not going to judge them. There's no perfect strategy I have here, but when we just have that, okay, I want to hear you, and I don't interrupt them. I strictly listen and ask open-ended questions. So how did you feel about that when that happened to you, when Sarah said that to you? And then what did you do? Okay. And how did that feel? Oh, it felt awful. Okay. All right. And not, not judging them in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes letting it sit for a while. Well, why don't we think about our feelings, get okay with that. And then after dinner, if you want to talk to me some more about how you feel, I'm here for you. And I want to talk to you about that. Okay, versus let's handle this and let's take care of this now. I like to praise them for their effort to try to deal with the situation and talk to me about that. And also just really be honest with them. Maybe Sarah's not going to be okay to be your friend again. And, what will you do with those feelings? How are you going to handle that when you see her again? Are you going to lash out, or are you going to be able to be calm? What do you think? So I think, a sense of honesty, openness, non-judgmental conversations, that safe place for kids to talk is my best suggestion. There isn't a magic wand. If it was, I would make it and give it to you. But I don't have that. But yeah, that's my best strategy. If parents are open, I think their kids will talk to them. And when they do talk to them, if they're willing to truly listen and not have to feel like they have to have all the answers. If you feel like your kids come to you with a problem that's out of your scope, you're like, wow, this is bigger than me, then feel free to get some help. You can call our hotline and talk to someone. You can go to parenting.org and ask the experts. Reach out to your, family, friends, professionals in your life. Reach out when you feel like I need to get another eye on this. I need to get another voice involved in something that seems even overwhelming to me.
I love what you said, Bridget, too, on those reflective questions, because so often if our child is facing a problem, they might think, oh, if I come to mom or dad, they're just going to talk at me and try to give those solutions. Like you mentioned, let's fix this, let's figure it out. But the questions of, what did you say next? How did that make you feel? And it's almost like when they're talking through it, they're going to come to more realizations on their own about scenario, because you're asking those open-ended questions.
Yeah, I remember talking to my son about something, and he was like losing all his friends and they had turned their back. And I said, I want to talk. I talked more about how he felt about things and what he was going to do about his feelings and what he was going to do about his next steps versus all of his other online friends, or I think that helped me kind of focus a little bit more and help him focus a little bit more. You can't do anything about everybody else. You can do something about yourself, and what that is really up to you, not really even me as your parent. I have, you have decisions to make, and I'm here to support you in those decisions that are healthy for you. And also say when you're doing things that are not healthy for you, like you're being online a little bit too much and listening to a lot of voices that really might not be that good for you, right? So stepping back, but being there to support them. And sometimes that's just having, an honest conversation about it.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a good amount on the lows and how to kind of cope with those. So we're going to go into a couple questions on the highs. Okay. And if you're watching live, please leave a comment, leave any questions you have. We are also linking resources throughout this live. So if you heard Bridget mention something like the Boys Town Hotline, those are all going to be put in the comment section for your reference. So when thinking about the highs, this is great. Maybe it's a good grade, a winning sports game, anything like that. How can parents teach their child humility when also helping them feel proud of their accomplishments?
Well, I think it's important to praise kids for their hard work, um, while teaching them to be grateful for the outcome, uh, in a way that isn't, demeaning what they did, but also I don't say to kids, well, you're the best. I say you worked really hard. You put in a lot of effort. So the action versus them just for being are, even the outcome. I praise for the effort it took to get the outcome, right? So I think that that kind of focus helps kids' talent grow and for them to be more self-motivated versus externally motivated. If I praise you for the outcome, then you have to have, I'm going to do this so she notices me again. And I'm like, and that works to a certain degree. But as kids grow and learn, you want them to begin to be self-motivated to do the things that they need to do, that help them achieve the things or the accomplishments that they want in life. So I do try to foster gratitude while going through. If you did get an accomplishment, let's say, um, and I would say, well, who else helped you with that? Well, my teacher, she really, and then John, he helped me. He was my study buddy. Okay. And so how can you give gratitude to those people? I could thank them for that. Yes, we could, or we could send them a card or send them a text or whatever the case may be. And so you don't get success all on your own. You live long enough, you learn that, right? There's a lot of people there supporting you and slowing down to recognize that. I sometimes, really suggested my children as they grew is to say, okay, let's really have gratitude. And that really brings about that understanding of humility, because then you really begin to realize how many people it took to help me get where I am today.
Yeah, well said. And what about those kids who tie a lot of their self-worth into
Mhm.
these highs we're talking about? Maybe they're feeling, if I don't get this grade or we win this sports tournament, I'm worried that my parents aren't going to give me the love that I so deserve or the attention
Mhm.
that I want, or they're going to be upset with me. How can we kind of reframe that?
Well, it's obviously a coping skill that we have to teach kids to be able to have. And there's actually social skills. Boys Town has a social skills book on and talks about coping with highs or lows. And we have plenty of children's books on that topic as well. But I have to say that I probably was one of those kids who really I was like an A addict. I was like, how many A's can I get? And when I got something that wasn't an A, I wasn't satisfied with that. And I remember my dad sitting down and talking to me about it. And he asked me things like, well, did you learn something? Well,
Mhm.
yeah, Dad, I learned something. Okay. And can you think you can use it? Oh, yeah, I can use it. Then you didn't go away with nothing. Right. Right. And so putting things in perspective, so to speak, I think my dad was trying to help me understand. And now that I look back on it, I appreciate that. And I try, I think, in my own life to model that to my own kids, to put things in perspective,
Mhm.
um, and not feel like I have to be perfect. And if you are only praising your child for perfection, then of course they're going to want that or crave that or need that, right? And but if you praise children for their effort, for their attempts, for their improvements, then that A is great, no doubt. But also the effort it took to get to that A is also important.
Mhm. Yeah. And regardless of whether we are in the highs or going through some lows, Bridget, how can we keep our kids motivated to keep going through these periods?
Well, lots of studies show that you might not think so, but routines are very helpful when you're going through a low or disruption or stressful situations in your family life. Kids need to know there's something that's stable, something still here in my life. I'm going to get up this morning and I'm going to do this. And that afternoon, we're going to have this. And there's certain things that still stay in our life that give us structure and kind of settle us or root us to some stability when everything else seems to be out of control. We're going through a divorce or we're going through a loss, or something like that in our lives, having something that stabilizes us. Here at Boys Town, we also have opportunities to talk to each other. And sometimes we get going with our busy lives and we stop talking. We don't, before you know it, you're tucking people in bed or you're saying goodnight or whatever the case may be. So I would say that having a family meeting, and that's what we call it here at Boys Town, on a weekly basis or daily basis, whatever works for you, where you hear your children's voices, where you can recognize, oh, something's off, or someone's doing well, or we're not connecting as well as we'd like to, or we are. So I would really suggest that you put that in your schedule, that we have a family meeting, that we hear each other's voices, that I talk to my children and not at my children, and they can talk to me, that I have routines that they follow. I don't run around and make them do it, but they know at this morning I need to go to the chart and I need to move the chart sticker over here that says I brush my teeth, and now I'm gonna, I did my chore or whatever, and they know that routine is there and it stabilizes them. And you might think these little bitty things are not important. How is this really going to help when we're going through a crisis? But they do help. They really do.
Yes. Well, we have talked about all the highs and lows and many more things, including resources here at Boys Town Parenting, the Boys Town Press, the Boys Town National Hotline. Lots of service lines across Boys Town can be of assistance to you and your family. And we are linking those in the comment section of this video. And Bridget, I think you mentioned at the beginning, but one more time, just so we know, how do we sign up for a Boys Town Common Sense parenting class if we liked some of the stuff we talked about today and want to know more?
All right. Well, you can go to boystown.org and you'll go to that site, and then you'll see a tab that says parenting.org. You push on that. And then when you push on that, you'll see a list called Common Sense Parenting and a list of classes that you can choose from. And then you just choose the type of class you want. It'll give you the different locations that are providing an online service, and you push the site. If you're in Nebraska, you can push the Nebraska site. I hope you push Nebraska. And then you can get to our site and you'll get a drop down of all the classes, and you just sign up there. If that is really like overwhelming, not all my friends are techie out there, right? And so you just want to call us, you can call us. There's a number up on that site that you can call directly, and we can walk you through or get you registered by phone. So we have classes that are sometimes live where you'll go in person at a location, and there are classes that are online that you can do from, the comfort of your home. You'll get a little kit in the mail. It's so cool. You get your book and your workbook and a lot of parent kit activities that you do with your kiddo. So that's really great to do. And the class is very interactive. I want you guys to know it is not a lecture. We won't be lecturing at you. We don't do that. So it is about parents talking to each other. We'll see videos. We'll do skill practices and role plays. We'll actually go home, try it, come back and tell me how it worked or how it didn't work, and then we tweak it and help you apply that a little better the next time. And the classes are usually in the evening. They're usually an hour and 30 minutes. We leave time at the end also for parents who just want to talk to us privately. We also ask all the parents to go to every session, and they're usually 6 weeks or 7 weeks. Now, I know that's an investment of the parents' time, but our kids are important to us. And if this can change the way we communicate and how we support them and the rest of their lives, and I've had people who are grown say, my mom went to your class and I'm going to your class too. So I think that in the long run, it's helpful to parents, and we've been around for the last I don't know, 30 odd years doing this all over the world. So I'm hoping parents continue to use this service for their families.
Definitely. And we will be happy to continue doing these chats in 2026. So
Yeah.
I hope everyone has a great holiday, and thank you for tuning in this year. We really appreciate all of you.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next month.